My dearest brothers and sisters, the other day I received an email from a dear friend, and he said, the world is not heating up. The global atmosphere is getting more unstable, less predictable, going to more extremes of both heat and cold, both wetter and drier. So this global warming that we've been hearing so much about, it just does not compute. Let us agree, however, that the weather is becoming more and more erratic. I've been in California for over 50 years, and I can't remember a winter like this that has been so cold and so wet indeed. Normally we've had so many magnificent, bright, sunny, and warm, clear days during winter, but not this winter. It's been cold and wet. And then I've been thinking that half of the Earth's topsoil has disappeared due to lack of cover crops, overgrazing, and conventional farming methods involving pesticides and chemical fertilizers. So half the topsoil, and they say that in 60 years, the remainder is going to vanish. And this is so sad when you think that all of life, all of living things depend upon the topsoil and also the stabilization of the atmosphere, because the topsoil fixes carbon from the atmosphere. So the topsoil, vibrant topsoil, is an element to vibrant atmosphere. The two are so closely linked and part of the whole. And then let's think about ourselves. What is happening to people in this America when the suicide rate here has become the highest ever that it's ever been in this country? And since the beginning of this year, there have been 67 suicides each day. Indeed, the suicide rate has increased 30% between the year 2000 and 2020. And what about deaths in childbirth? This has increased the rate of maternal deaths is more than 10 times. The rate in this country is more than 10 times that of other high-income countries. And then there's the epidemic of obesity. In the U.S., 42% of adults are obese. And in just a few years, this is going to reach 45%. And even sadder still is that 1/5 of American children are obese. And it is doubly sad and tragic to learn that the number of children undergoing surgery to help them with weight loss has sharply risen in the last couple years. And all this against a background of financial crisis, massive job layoffs in the technical sector, and a chain reaction of bankruptcies, which is only just starting, in my opinion. All this cryptocurrency is going to go to absolute zero. Overall, this society, this lonely society, this society where people are more isolated, more traumatized, and more estranged than in any other time in human history, this society resembles nothing as much as that of August 1914. The time of World War I, another immense tragedy. So what else is there to do? What else is there to do against the loneliness, the traumatization, and the estrangement? What else is there to do but to plant a victory garden? And that's what we're going to do, to express our faith in the life force seething at the grassroots in this country. So let us begin. Let us begin by planting, of course, lettuce. This is a bronze beauty that I've got from Baker Creek Heirloom Seeds in the state of Missouri. They're fine, magnificent people. Please visit their website. So let's start with a magnificent oak leaf lettuce with reddish bronze tips and a yellow center. Bronze beauty lettuce. And then from the same Baker Creek Heirloom Seeds, a marvel of 4 seasons. It will grow, it's very adoptable. It will grow most anywhere US of A. So let's just plant this. Notice that with a very small seed like this, we are not covering our lettuce seed. We're just sprinkling it on the top. And then a Gully's favorite, which I got from the Seed Savers Exchange. By all means, visit their website. They're magnificent people preserving the treasury of our genetic heritage in heirloom and historic seeds. So Gully's favorite lettuce. Here we go. And then one of my favorites, Grandpa Admire. It goes way, way back from before the Civil War. And it is a magnificent red lettuce. It's vigorous, it's resilient, and a pleasure to behold and to partake. So Grandpa Admire, an heirloom. And of course, let's conclude with an Amish deer tongue lettuce. I admire the Amish so much, such fine people, upholding traditional farming still amongst an extraordinary mechanization. So, Amish deer tongue lettuce. Okay. And now after lettuce, you guessed it, we're going to do kale. Look at this magnificent kale. Have you ever seen leaves of that size? This is a 1,000-headed kale, also from Baker Creek Heirloom Seeds. And a scarlet kale. Why not? Yeah. And then from Johnny's Selected Seeds in Maine, wonderful people also, a privilege to visit their website. It's so well put together. So from Johnny's, I've got a Westlands winter kale. And that takes care of our lettuce and our kale. So let's move on to Swiss chard. And here's an orange, an Oreo orange Swiss chard. And here's a Swiss chard called perpetual spinach. And it's gotten that name because the leaves are purported to taste like spinach. But it's a Swiss chard. So here we go. Perpetual spinach. And then, but of course, parsley. And in my humble opinion, the parsley most worthwhile is Italian giant parsley. It's so magnificent in salads and in green drinks. What could be more life-giving? Parsley takes three weeks to germinate, but we'll be patient. Most of the rest of these seeds are going to germinate within a week or so. And then, of course, we've got to do a celery. So here's a Chinese white celery. And why not conclude our salad greens with a red dandelion? This goes so well indeed in salads, and I might add in green drinks. So red dandelion. Now let's go on to tomatoes. This is Brad's atomic grape tomato. Isn't it colorful with the contrasting yellow and purple? So Brad's atomic. And of course, a black cherry tomato. And now from tomatoes, we're going to go on to summer squash. And here's a magnificent buttercup squash that I've got from from one of the members of the Seed Savers Exchange. Once again, please visit their website. They're magnificent people. So, summer squash. And then we're going to conclude with cucumbers. Here's a silver slicer. Silver slicer. Okay. Now when I get home, I'm going to cover the larger seeds with soil, and then I'm going to cover the entirety of the tray with a damp towel. Oh no! Then I will water everything. After covering the larger seeds, I'll water everything with my watering can or hose, and then I'll cover everything with a damp towel, damp cloth, and I'll keep it in a warm place in my house. And in maybe 3 or 4 days, as soon as germination occurs, I'll put this in a south-facing window or in a cold frame or greenhouse, because as soon as it germinates, it's got to be exposed, it's got to go into direct sunlight to prevent the sprouts from getting leggy and tangling up amongst themselves. So as soon as germination, please direct sunlight. So once this is up, so here you have it. This is the entire springtime garden in this one tray. And as soon as the sprouts come up and harden off, I will transfer them, I will spread them out and transfer them to other trays. So I will make it as many as 3 or 4 other trays from this one tray where I have the whole springtime garden concentrated. And then when those seedlings become of age and harden off, then I will transfer them, I will plant them in their permanent locations in my garden. So it's a process, as you see, of several steps. I'd like to conclude by exhorting you to save your compost. Every kitchen, please, a 5-gallon bucket in which you put your banana peels, your carrot tops, your apple cores, your avocado skins, all of your, and of course your orange peels also. And of course, keep this in your 5-gallon bucket. And when it fills up, take it out and put it in your compost pile. And if you live in an apartment and you don't have a compost pile, take it to your community garden. They will kiss you for it. Compost is gold. Each one of us has to do their little bit and their step to restore the precious topsoil. So let's go forward, brothers and sisters. Let us rejoice that despite all the loneliness, the estrangement, and the traumatization, there is so much life at the grassroots. We will pull through. We will create here a garden for the American spirit. Thank you. My privilege to share.